I'm going to do is throw a cylinder. It's got a little bit of water. The most important thing in pulling out the sides is to make sure that the players are even, the walls are even. I don't think pulling is the right word, it's more pushing. So a bit of pushing and a bit of pulling. Spin the top of the cylinder out and undercut it slightly. That's it. Except for cutting it off. This is a pot that has been burnished. It has no glaze on it, but it has a very shiny surface. That's what the burnishing produces, and it's ready for pit firing. The first part of the burnishing process is to get a smooth stone, like a beach pebble or a piece of glass, and rub the surface of the pot continuously. The way the burnishing works is that you're actually rubbing all of the coarser particles of clay into the clay surface, and as those coarse particles disappear into the clay surface, the clay itself becomes shiny and polished. And the more you do it, the brighter the shine and the smoother the finish. The colour on the pit-fired pots comes from the organic material that are wrapped around the pot before it's put in the fire. Different colours come from substances like salt or seaweed, some corn, sawdust, copper carbonate, different types of organic materials. The main challenge is actually how to keep that material close to the pot. One way of doing it is to wrap the pot and the organic material in some aluminium foil. This is actually called a sagger, right? A sagger is any container that you want to put the pot in. Let's try something smaller. How about that one? Now, in pit firing, you get black from the carbon that's created when sawdust or wood shavings burn, and red can come from copper carbonate, and this is the same copper carbonate you get from the garden store. This container is just ordinary salt. Some people like to use sea salt or Himalayan salt, but the sodium in the salt does two things. It creates a yellow colour, but it also helps the copper carbonate to vaporize. When it's getting really hot and starts to burn, the salt vaporizes and it carries the copper up and around the pot. Now, we can put some other things in to create colour. It's seaweed. It's been dried out and it contains salt. It probably contains a bit of iron. This is some sea sponge. It's been dipped in salt. So wrapping the pot and organic material keeps the material close into the pot and allows the colour, when it's released from the organic material, to be absorbed. So that's a oil sagger. The way I do most of my pots though is using some corn leaves to hold the materials close to the pot, like banana skin. I really love using corn because the colour that you get from corn, it's a nice peachy orangey yellow colour from the corn leaves, and the banana skins create a very strong sort of orange spotty impression. And then to add some more red, I like to use copper scourer. Gives this red colour. So we're likely to get yellows and peaches from the corn, strong oranges from the banana skin and reds from the copper. Now, to get them to stay attached to the pot, I use some corn, which is really good, and some string. And once you've got the basic structure, you can then add more things to it. Okay. So now we can put some pots in. This one goes upside down so that the rim can be black. Maybe. That's a pot in a paper bag sago. I'm trying something different with these. So the next thing that goes in is salt. It's sort of important not to get the salt on the pots, because otherwise it tends to congeal. The salt provides a yellow colour from the sodium in it, and when it vaporizes, it lifts and carries the copper sulfate as well. Copper turns it red. Turns the pots red, but if you get too much oxygen, the red will disappear. Process of intuition to some extent, like how much more wood do you need, where do you need to put it. But I like to use the manuka because it burns really well and gets really hot. I'm sure I should demonstrate this either. Pyromaniacs. It's just a piece of toweling soaked in methylated spirit. So bound to catch fire. Just about to get the fire going. Next, yeah. This is when the neighbours ring up. There's a bit of smoke coming out the top. Actually, if we just take this off. That little one there is pretty cool. It's amazing, it's good, terrific. And that red on that side is the copper sulfate. Sawdust. This is the one that was in the paper bag sago. So this is the sago. Okay. So part of it is still intact. On this side the floor is all burnt away. And there's the pot, and not much happened. And it has quite a bit of green in it. You can see the seaweed in there. The remains of.
How do you get this rusty?
Well, it's a combination usually of corn with salt, so saturated salt, and there's probably some copper scour put in underneath it. It's bisque to about 950. And then in here, put the anywhere between 6 and 800. Oh, look at that. Yeah. It's incredible. So this is the one that was done in the aluminium foil saga. And those marks on it, they are from the seaweed. There's a little bit of yellow from corn, and there's occasional spots of green, greeny blue that comes from copper sulfate. Again, it's, you know, how can something so large, I mean, it's not all that big, but it's relatively large, will survive fire where it's just put in with a whole lot of wood and set fire to. They still managed to survive. They do say that burnishing really strengthens the outside of the pots. After I wash them, I usually polish them as well with beeswax.